Hello and welcome to a Jumpy Humpy Spider special with Star Trek Online. Yes, it's a very old game full of lots of people, lots of ships and lots of stuff to do. Today I am currently in my STO Astika heavy battle cruiser, also known as the HMS Hailstorm. Note I've only got HMS there because the Astika has the option not to have the USS insignia unifix thing. Today what I'm going to show you is torpedo builds and what you can do with a big lunk of ship like this. I have actually tested this ship or previous variants of this ship in games PvP against a Folian Tarantula. Full armor piercing build. Not armor piercing, I've been playing too much tank games. Full anti-proton build with the sticky web and the joyous thing called the web cannon, which eats this thing like God knows what. As you can see, I'm not sure if it's clear on the video, so far at its current equipment, skills, yada yada yada, the Astika is currently at 111,221 hit points. Some will say that's too much for a torpedo build. Others say, why if you got so little? I say, leave me alone, it's my ship. That goes up to 144 and a bit thousand with the addition of this threatening stance. While it may increase the threat generation of this torpedo vessel, I mean it's a big ship, it's got a lot of threat to begin with, it gets a 20% chance when damage to increase the maximum hull by 5% for a minute, up to 10%, up to 10 stacks, so that is 50 stacks, I think. Yeah. Some of you may be curious about how I've actually built this thing. Well, that was slightly laggy. Well then, let's find out. Ignore the visual. I have the Nukara shield visual in slot because doesn't that look cool? I mean, look at it, come on. Look at that, it looks beautiful. Look at it in the light. And then look at those bits on the side, those blue stripes and the dots. And yes, you probably saw I do have the counter command engines as visual as well, because, well look, it looks like I've got a plasma leak which is slightly ignited due to this red afterglow with the Astika. That is actually a addition to the ship. It is not a special effect like from an engine. That is actually what the ship does. Looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Look, it looks like it's just burnt out warp plasma and it, there we go, look at that. Just looks like burnt out warp plasma, doesn't it? It's beautiful. Right, those who are interested, the equipment, the torpedoes, everything you need. I will start off with the mastery, shall we? Fully mastered, even with the tier 5, that thing is evil, lovely. With its absorptive hull plating, giving it more resistance. It's, yes, because it's a battle cruiser, it will get the battle cruiser mastery, so it's got the critical severity boost. It's got the enhanced hull plating for more resistance, and it's got the increased hull hit points for 10%. Well, like, look at our stats here. I am actually a science player on this. While I don't play science per se, excuse me, I do play quite tanky when it comes to my science ships. Well, in any ship. As you can see, there's the hit points, hull repair, an extra 6% over the 100 per minute. Ignore bonus defense, let's actually start moving, we'll see that change. Pretty good, 56 extra percent. Shield regen, almost 1,000 shield hit points every 6 seconds, and judging by the actual shield hit points themselves, geez, just over 17,000. So all in all, if we want to take the total of the shields, excluding Threatening Stance Edition, which puts up to 144,000, its standard hit points per shield face coincide with the hull is a whopping 128,375 hit points. Lovely, that is. Lots of juicy hull hit points. Oop. I do also like to keep pretty good resistances as well. Some people have said going that high is a bit too wasteful for console slots, but well, it's called hull tanking for a reason. You need to have good resistance. This ship is designed to produce as much artillery as it can before it eventually goes down. These things aren't built out of Starlinium. And while I may not have the best critical chance, 6.6%, so pretty decent accuracy, the critical severity, that's a beauty, 110.4%. Very useful. These torpedoes do end up doing a lot of criticals. And movement, inertia as standard of a big ship. Flight speed, now that's going to be slower depending on the consoles you have, or even faster depending on the consoles you have. I don't know what you guys have, but this is just me. And plus the turn rate, standard. I have deactivated the pilot specialization because I'm going for more of a DOT effect with temporal operative, really useful. But that is what my current turn rate is at the moment when I'm stationary, 6 degrees a second. As you can see it in the background, that's me just trying to turn more like 45 degrees. When I've put full throttle on, I've had that higher, but for defensive sake I have reduced the turn rate. I used to have it up to around almost 25 to 30 degrees a second to counteract the turn rate of the Tholian Tarantula. And now the bit you've probably all been waiting for, if you know my users and all that. The actual items. Close that. I usually use a certain selection of 5 torpedoes on I preferably do torpedo boats on 5-4 weapons, just because that extra torpedo slot, that is useful. And before you ask, oh, what about the share times? Ain't that gonna disturb it, or this or that, or yada yada yada? From what I've been using on this, yes, some torpedoes get fired more than others. They all get a chance. But some get more of a chance of fire than others. I cannot do anything else I can do with that. That's as best as I can get it. Right, the front 5 torpedoes. Doesn't matter which order they're in, just there. We have the enhanced biomolecular photon torpedo launcher. All my stuff is mostly Mark 12, or if I've been bothered to upgrade it. This one has a nice bit of damage. I rarely go up against Undine, so doesn't bother me for the boost effect. I have no idea if that's actually coming through good, because I don't have it on full screen on the other monitor. Yeah, 7,195.7 kinetic damage against non-Undine per Torp. Pretty useful. With a 2.5% chance. This is the temporal operative stuff I was on about. 10% chance to do 602.5 physical damage every second for 10 seconds. That is, well, 6,000 damage. Pretty good. Pretty good. My duty officer, I was constantly going on and on about those duty officers, wondering which one should I have for what. So, and because I do a lot of torpedo builds, and I use some energy weapons, I've gone with my nice selection. No, I will come to those later on in the video. But thanks to my current duty officer, I get a 20% chance, just point at the monitor as if you guys are watching me now, with a to increase my critical severity by 10% for 15 seconds. That stacks up to 30%. Now if I just do a quick... No, I cannot be bothered to do a quick calculation. It's 30% onto what we've currently got, as you can see down here. And that's for 15 seconds, which is pretty good. It means that when the critical hit does happen, it smacks the enemy hard. The biomolecular photon does have its little effect, biomolecular incubation. Now this has annoyed me so many times when I've been hit with it, regardless if it's the torpedo or the weapons. Hang on, do I actually have the weapons on me? No, I do not. Yeah, look at me. I'm broke. Where it reduces your flight speed by a lot for 8 seconds, so you become a real big slow target. A nice big hulk. A slow hulk, shall we call it. For 8 seconds, and when that expires, it smacks you with just over 900 radiation damage. I could probably increase that a bit more, but with my current build and how I've currently got some consoles, it's a bit difficult. And that's double over versus Undine. I don't really go up against Undine. Traits, I'll come back to in a few later on, but I have a trait which now I've got to try and remember. I'll remember for later on, but when I activate a team ability like tactical team, engineering, so basically any team, science and even intelligence, it will load a viral warhead. It will basically turn the photon torpedo launcher or whatever torpedo launcher for that shot into a nice big viral matrix cannon, so to speak. It will disable your target for 5 seconds. Now, you may think, I mean, that is evil in PvP. My friend, who I usually duel in PvP, we barely kill each other because our ships are that powerful against each other's. He absolutely hates me, and I mean hates me, for using that viral torpedo. It is an evil sod. Now, what I learned, unfortunately, is these stats like chance, severity, accuracy, and that, they don't get put onto your ship, so to speak. They're just the extra with that torpedo or that weapon, which is saddening. I know. I'd like to see all my stats clearly, but what are you going to do? But 2% critical chance, 20% severity, and 10% accuracy. Useful? Somewhat. As you can see, I don't really have the other set bonuses, which may be useful, but not sure about it. Because I don't really have phases or disruptors, and the 2% chance increase, that's barely anything. On to the next torpedo. The particle emission plasma torpedo, or Peppy. Mine is an ultra rare run, and I cannot believe how much I actually spent on this when I first got it, because when the crafting came out, these just flooded into the market like that. And you could get them really cheap. I don't know how much they are nowadays, but you can get this off the exchange. 90-degree arc, no surprise there. Just under, or just over 5,700 kinetic damage. This one drops plasma damage like a normal plasma torpedo. Wow, I've only just noticed that. Almost 2,000 plasma damage over 10 seconds. So that's about 200 plasma burn a tick. This torpedo also has a funny little effect where it will create a plasma cloud on impact, which lasts for 6 seconds, and anyone caught in that cloud gains a nice juicy plasma burn for every second. So for 6 seconds, that's bordering on to calculator. Please, where's my phone? There's the calculator. Right, with the current stats, 8 times 6. That's just over 5,000 hit points. Doesn't sound much, but that's just if they. If you tractor beam someone and you get them caught into that, you've got the tractor beam taking damage from them, and you've got that burn taking damage, and they have difficulty getting out of it. That can be evil at times. And then we go through all the statistics that I've already got, which I've explained on the other torpedo. Then this one has 4% chance, thanks to crit H with a standard 20. Then it gains an extra 20% due to critical D, severity, and it gains accuracy. Like I said, you can pot. I don't know how much they are nowadays. I've never actually looked. I've never checked. Not recently, anyway. So we'll take a look at those later on, I think. But it's an effective torpedo. Really good for exotic builds. Like on science, and even if you get lucky to put them on like a cruiser, like an Odyssey, and that may be my next video to show you my Odyssey build, the USS Archangel. Nice plasma boat that one is. Right, next torpedo we have from the Reputation Terran Task Force. This one is a very interesting and evil torpedo. It's a photon torpedo launcher, so it's got that rate of fire, you know, that once every 6 seconds, I think, that pew, pew, pew. One of the best DPS type torpedoes you've got there. This one does bordering 7,100 kinetic damage. And as the target's hull reduces, as you can see here, up to 200% damage increase at 25% hull. If the foe lasts that long. They don't really last long with this ship. Critical severity, duty officer, to target 33%. So when you fire 3 of these things, every 1 out of 3 of those will cause this effect. Withering radiation. It lasts for a minute with 5 stacks. So you can hit 5 torpedoes. I'm really talking like an idiot now. And that can last, like I said, that lasts for 60 seconds, a minute, and it adds 351.5 radiation damage per stack. Now if we times that by 5, we've got a maximum ability of, why did I fail my maths? Just under 1,800 hit points for a minute. Pretty evil, yes. And it comes with a standard critical severity. I'll explain, as you can see, I've got a 2-piece set. I'll explain that later on. The next torpedo, this one is a beauty, and I do hope you guys have this if you're watching and you want to make a good shield busting torp boat. This will bust open shields like a rock on glass. This thing is beautiful. It's a quantum, so it has a little bit of a slower fire compared to like plasma torps and photon torps, but it's a bit more damaging. This one just has under 8,000 hit points worth of damage, kinetic damage. To foes, it within 2 kilometer radius, and so if you're in PvP and they're all grouped up, and you fire a high yield or a spread of this, that's 2 kilometers. If they're all within 1 kilometer of each other or 2 kilometers of each other, and you do a torpedo spread, they all get affected by this. Every single ship within 2 kilometers will get affected by this, and that kills their shields. You have no idea how badly it takes them out shields. Hang on, I've just actually read this. Now, as you can see, it does just under 1300 damage in a 2k radius. High yield and torpedo spread increases it to 4 kilometers. Torpedo spread, which is what I use all the time, increases the shield damage, does additional shield damage. This is the shield buster of torpedoes. You can't go wrong with it. It is lovely. And it has the standard critical chance, critical severity. If you want a shield buster, here's your Torp. No questions about it. This is the Torp for you. The final Torp I've got on here, the gravimetric photon. Very useful actually, and quite evil. Yeah, I'll explain that later. Does about 7200 damage, destroys VOF acetone drones, those evil buggers, and 1 out of 3 torps will cause a gravimetric rift within a kilometer radius for 4.5 seconds. It deals kinetic, like a gravity well, it deals kinetic damage to anyone who enters. And it has a increased critical chance. When it comes to the aft weapons, I've gone for a bit more of a shield busting. I've gone for the omnidirectional Tetrion beam array. These things can be difficult to come by, but this one I've equipped with over, or the attribute over, which is like beam overload, only it's passive, sort of. And it works for any beam weapon that's on your ship as well. So if you have this and it kicks in, it will kick start any beam attack or beam on your weapon to fire an overload, and that beam will do the overload. Evil? Yes. Lovely? Yes. Expensive? Yes. As you can see, I have other stats here, which I'll explain later because they all coincide with the consoles and duty officers. Then I have the kinetic cutting beam. Have I even tried to update this? I don't know. That's also got a 2-piece. This one is basically just to help with kinetic damage. So when shields go down, this fires, it does increase damage to the hull, yada yada yada. It's a kinetic beam. It's a pretty effective Omni, and it will mean that when I'm facing my enemy, every weapon will fire forwards. The other beam I have, which is another omnidirectional. And before you go, oh, you can't have 2 Tetrions in a beam build. You can't have 2 Tetrion Omnis. Same as the anti-protons. When do you remember? Hope you guys remember when the Obelisk carrier came out. They had that omnidirectional ancient beam. Same principle as that. But this one, sorry, has a chance to deal damage beyond the shields, while the other one, excuse me, does damage to every shield face and destabilizing, knocks them down over duration. So once again, eating a Malham, doesn't want to swallow. Doesn't want to go down, I mean. Where was I? Oh yes, this one does damage directly to the hull. So it bypasses the shields and hits the hull. Effective? At times, yeah, but useful. Like I said, all 3 of these are omnidirectional, so they will, if I'm facing in front of the enemy, they will be attacking as well. Now we go to the 4 key points. Deflector. Yes, I have upgraded this. This is my favourite deflector. I put this on every single ship because of how all round it is. It increases accuracy. It improves energy weapon damage. It improves kinetic damage. It increases hull capacity, shield capacity. It increases exotic damage, and it also increases the control effects / resistances. Beautiful deflector. And it has a very neat effect. Hang on, let's get to the front, shall we? Look, see that green there? You probably can't actually see the cursor, I've just realised, but you see that green? That is it. That's the deflector. The warp core Now, would usually go for, where is it? This, the Delta Alliance core, because it's just a bit more tanky and it has that useful self-teleport, which puts you 5 kilometers forward, regardless where you're facing. So whereas the nose is pointing, it will jump you 5 kilometers forwards and increase your stealth. But while that's good, I thought it would be better just to do something like this. So this has a bit of a subsystem strain resistance. It has a better transfer rate. It increases efficiency, so when something's low, it increases power levels better. And in a Torp boat, this one's useful. Weapon power towards auxiliary as bonus power, because you don't need weapons that badly. You don't need that high weapon power when you're firing Torps, I've noticed. But I like to test that later, I think. Then I've also got the ability that does 3.3% all damage per subsystem. I haven't quite understood that yet, but come back to me on that one. You can get these on your fleet spires. These are quite useful. Right. The reason why I saved these two for last is because of the two-piece set. The impulse engines, I've gone for adapted Mako, combat impulse. And while I've got high energy power, which I may change to defense, I'm not sure. It just has hot restart, which is useful if you don't want to be stuck staying still for too long. Can be quite useful. It restarts your engines like that. The shields give it a bit of a tanky edge, almost 10,000 capacity, and I don't like this bonus, but for the two-piece set, I'll live with it. 20% chance any attacker that hits you with energy weapons may become placated for 1 second. I don't like that. 1 second ain't worth jack. But thanks to the two-piece, they've changed this. They have changed this. It used to be, from my knowledge, an increase of torpedo damage at 25%. Now it's got regenerates 3.5% maximum hull every 6 seconds, and it increases auxiliary power setting. That's interesting. That is. I honestly don't remember those being there. Anyway, back to the ship at hand. The consoles, another glorious part of this. Engineering. We've got the universal quantum phase converter. Ignore the phaser damage. I don't use it on this ship, so that may, some people will say that's a waste, but whose ship is it? It's mine, thank you. However, it does have the increased auxiliary power setting. It increases the ability, it increases the strength of your drains and resistances. So, energy and shield drains, tachyon beam, power siphon, they're a bit more effective, and you're a bit more resistant to them. Has hot restart, which removes auxiliary power disable conditions after 1 second. Can be useful. Damn fruit flies. And it's also part of the two-piece. Scrolling. I need a new mouse wheel. There we go. Increases accuracy by 15%, and this helps the torpedo. Doubles potency of quantum phase weapon shield drain, and doubles potency of quantum phase high yield torpedo shield heal. The 3-piece effect is rather effective as well, but I've not equipped that for reasons. But that does increase the ability this has. Very useful. My next one, by recommendation of the group I'm in, the Universal Assimilated Module. I have no idea if it actually has got... No, it doesn't seem to... Disable, enable... No, it doesn't seem to have visuals on anymore. or from what I can see. Oh well. That increases critical chance and severity, increases weapon setting, it increases passive hull regeneration, and it increases the control expertise, so like tractor beams are a bit more effective. It also comes with a 2-piece ability with the kinetic cutting beam, which has a 2.5% chance to apply Omega weapon amplifier, plus 10 current weapon pack. I don't understand this. This seems to have changed. But it increases weapon power resistance and maximum weapon power resistance rating by 3 seconds. I don't understand that. Someone could talk to me in the comments, please. The next console is the ferrofluid hydraulic assembly, which increases your hit points by pretty much 10%, increases weapon and auxiliary power by 3, and it reduces the time by half a second of any shared torpedo. So those photons will have half a second shared time taken off. And a 2-piece will increase torpedo weapon damage, projectile weapon damage, by 13.3%. Any boost is a good boost in my book. Pardon me. Now, with this ship, I cannot remember if this console came with this ship or the Manasar Escort, but we have the assault mode relays. I don't really use this that much, but when I do use it, I'm only stationary when I use it. But when I'm not using it, it has the bonus of increased flight speed by 53.2% and increases turn rate by 35.5%, which is useful for getting you around into position before you start engaging. When on this ship, the battleship, when it is activated, it increases critical chance by 10%, and it increases critical severity by a quarter, 25%, and it, upon deactivation of this, I don't know if it's by manual or automatic deactivation, it +8 foes within 3 kilometers for 8 seconds, plus it will remove whatever the bonuses up are at the top. I used to go for the Polar launcher as well, but because the ship just weren't putting out that much energy damage to start with, I found it a waste of a console spot. This one increases flight. Lovely little RCS console. I recommend getting one, preferably this one. Well, not exactly this one, but you can't, but you get what I mean. Increases all resistance by 23.8 rating. Useful, very. Increases turn rate by a metric butt ton. Useful, very. When healed, I don't know if that applies to shields or just hull, but when healed, and this ship tends to heal quite passively at times, applies conductive accelerator for 15 seconds, it reduces damage to your shields by 10%, increases your turn rate by an additional 20, and the effect can occur once every half a minute. Useful, very. Science consoles, yippee! To the science section. This only has 2 consoles, as you can see. This one, exotic particle field exciter. Ooh, exciting. You can get this in varies as well, but I prefer this one because it increases my kinetic damage resistance. Because I noticed before I started getting better with my ship builds, torpedoes would ruin, and I mean ruin, my day. Or as Stewie would say it, ruin. Why, I don't know. But it increases resistance rating by 47.5, which is why if you see by my resistances over here, it's 5.3% higher. Which is useful, yes. It increases exotic damage by 35.6 on the rating, which is useful. Increases shield capacity by 23.8%, and when your shields are healed, this effect doesn't really matter to me that much because of the ship, but when the shields are healed, it applies field exciter for 15 seconds, which increases weapon power. The tactical consoles. I have 2 of these vulnerability locators. I don't know whether I like these locators or should have gone for exploiters. People tell me different things, but they both increase weapon damage and critical chance. They're both exactly the same. Let's just put those together, shall we? This one, out of a recent mission, cannot remember for the life of me what one. But this one makes good for science builds, especially if you're using Polaron, because this one increases Polaron damage. It also increases weapon power setting by 2.7. Oh, guess what? It increases exotic damage, no surprise there, and has 20% torpedo weapon damage increase as well. Useful? Yes. I haven't seen what the set bonuses are though. Ah. Okay. Annoyingly, I lost out on the Krenem Chronoton Torpedo because you needed to do the Krenem Science Vessel, which I was not aware of at the time, so I missed out on that. Like equals one prayer. Final console from the Lobby store, actually. This is actually the only Lobby store crystal I have. Kill me now. I can't do English today. English too hard. Lobby store console. Bio infusion circuits. Yes, it's blue. So what? I haven't had time to upgrade it. Well, increases your hit points by a ton, increases your control expertise by a ton, and increases critical severity. Useful, very. Lovely, 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 lovely jubbly. All of these together, you can change them if you want, if you've not got one console or the other, or it's personal preference. I find this one works best. Skills, lovely skills. These are also personal preference. I'm quite sciencey, so I go for tanky abilities, which is why some people are probably screaming now like, oh my god, why have you got this but not that, but that and not this, and this but not that, and that but not this? I don't care. That's pretty much as simple as I can say. I just don't care. I've built my ships how I like them. I want them to be tanky, but I also want them to have a slight science tinge. Now, I've gone for these two abilities, specializations. Primary, intelligence officer. Mainly because it is effective. It is evil. I'm trying to find it. There we go. Right. Yeah, very useful actually. At the moment, I've actually got it set up where if I flank an enemy, I get flanking bonus. Like if I'm on behind the enemy, I'll get a flanking bonus to critical chance and critical severity as well, plus some other doodads. It's very useful, this actually. And also when shields are offline, or when shield capacity is reduced to 0, it gets interesting. Very interesting. My secondary is a new one actually, Temporal Operative. I've not really done that much on this because it is brand new, but I'm specialising in the space skills, and so far I've got Entropic Rider, Amplification 1 and 2, which is evil because it buffs all space DOT effects, and this one actually causes the DOT effect. As you can see, 2.5% chance. Yada yada yada. And I have just realised I have actually forgot to talk about a console in science. This one, I would go for, where is it? This one, but wait, no, that's the wrong one. This one, but it's only a Mark 12. It's not as good, I'm afraid, because I'm #noob. But yeah. This one helps the energy weapons by giving them a nice little plasma bomb, so to speak. And it increases plasma base exotic damage, which increases the ability of this. Where are we? Yes. We've already been here. Traits. They're all personal, really. I've gone for stuff like this when it comes to my reputation. Increased severity, fortified hull, auxiliary power configuration, defense. I have a high auxiliary power, so I get more tanky. And because I've only got 4, I've got this torpedo pre-fire sequence. Increases destructible torpedo flight speed by 33%, which, granted, people have said not needed, not helpful. Just useless. It increases 12.5% torpedo damage, which is the only reason this trait is here, because it helps torpedoes damage overall. Starship traits, here we are, the load viral neural warhead. I also, what the hell is that? There's another Chinook flying over. Tactical treat, I also have when you're less than 25% hull hit points, and increase defense by a ton. Untargetable for 2 seconds. I get an increased flight speed for 10 seconds, and all threats are hit to 0, so I become near enough invincible. And it also increases the speed of insector space. Useful. Reciprocal. Oh, for crying out loud! You can read it, okay? You can read it. When missed, so when if someone misses me, I get a reduction on intelligence and tactical bridge officer abilities by 10%. Supremacy. I'm not sure if I haven't really noticed it, but it mainly affects beamfire at will, but for some reason it's currently enhancing my weapons at the moment, and I don't have beamfire at will, so we'll see what happens. When it comes to space traits, hang on. This Benfin assault cruiser. This one, can't remember. This one, Phantom escort. Supremacy, this ship, the Astika. So again, trying to eat another Maram. God, for something so juicy, they really do make your mouth dry. Warp Theorist increases warp levels, as you can see. Shield Technician increases shield capacity. Fluidic Cocoon. When hit by... This may not be great on this build, but other builds on Odyssey is brilliant. But when hit by kinetic damage, you have a chance to increase your outgoing damage for several seconds. And it stacks up 3 times. Hang on, does it have it here? No. Then there's this one, Innocuous. Increases critical severity and reduces my threat gen. Might replace that console, but I don't know what to replace. For Christ's sake. Oh, did not notice this one. You know what, let's get rid of that and put this one here. In fact, what others are there? Operative. 5%. Might go for that one, but that's just a blatant 5 projectile damage. This one, 2% up to 10%, depending on how big your team is. I think I'll go with that one. That's all damage as well, so that affects torpedoes. I think I'll go for that one. I've got a lot of stuff. Yep, so I've sorted that one. What's here? Bulkhead Technician increases hull hit points. What's this one? Ablative Shell. This one is useful. This is what I'm on about by passive heals and that. Increase when after receiving a ton of damage. Pardon me if you heard that one. You can read that. It does 2,000 odd hit points every half second for 3 seconds. Increases damage resistance for 3 seconds. Useful. This one, safe scrambler. When below 20% hull plastate, all foes within 10 kilometers for 5 seconds resist all threats versus NPC. So it basically is like an escape. Gives me a chance to escape because they're not targeting me. I hope. Photonic Field Protocol. This one is useful. While they're only temporary, they still actually make the difference between life and death. When I'm hit by critical hits, I gain an extra 7,000 hit points. It can only happen once for 60 seconds, but it's more than nothing, and it lasts for 15 seconds if you're lucky to let it last that long. This one is a beauty. I like this one. Coalition Starships traits. This doesn't affect ship class, it affects your class. So science, tactical, engineer, dildo, left, right, testicle, I don't know. Whatever you want to be. And as you can see, if per engineer teammate, you get an increased regen by almost 200 for your shields. Per science teammate, you gain an increase in hull healing received. And per tactical, you gain extra 3% flight speed and defense. Useful, very. Right, stations, reputation, right. Stations, as you can see down here as well, you've got the basic sciencey ones here. I have two science bridge officers here, one for healing, one for effect. Useful, yes. I've got hazard emitters 1 and science team 2, so that's hull and shield. That's the lieutenant universal slot. The tactical lieutenant commander, lieutenant commander, however you want to pronounce it, tactical team, so you get the shield, automatic shield thing. You can read it, it does a lot of stuff as well. Chemosite laced weaponry. This one is a beautiful console. It just increases your weapons to have a bit more of a DOT effect, and can cause plasma radiation explosions as well with projectile weapons. Torpedoes spread free. I always have either 2 or 3 because it's just better console. I find it fires more torpedoes when there's, even if there's 2 ships, when it's higher up the food chain, when it comes to spreads or not. That's what I've noticed. Everyone else may have noticed something different. I have a commander engineer slot because that's what it comes with engineering team, so that's another hull heal. I've noticed my shields seem to turn into mush a lot of the times, especially against the Borg. My ships hate the Borg with a passion, because shields just die. The whole hit points stay up, but I hate the Borg so much. They just chew up my shields like it's nothing. But that helps get them back. Then there's the emergency power to shields, which is useful. And then for another hull heal, because why not? So auxiliary power, structure, integrity field. The next engineer area is a combination of engineer and commander, where I've actually specialised it in commander, with overwhelming emitters, which helps with shield regeneration and hostile shield drain. Even though I've only got 2 energy weapons, this thing is surprisingly useful. And I also have concentrate firepower, which is brilliant for torpedo boats if they have this slot, because when a foe is marked, or when the target is marked with torpedo damage, it has increasive damage with 100% shield pen, and every 4 seconds, or once per 4 seconds, it will fire a high yield torpedo and will reset the count, or reset torpedo cooldown. So you could fire like a torpedo spread of this, fire a single torp of that, then you get a high yield of that, and then you can fire one of these or one of those, or you end up firing a torpedo spread of that. Very useful. One of these I mainly used in PvP, but it can affect PvE as well if you just want someone to leave you alone, especially if you're 1v1 in like a cube or something. Not that you'd need to, like if you get into a scenario where the cube's starting to turn your backside into cannoli. Why cannoli? A colander. It just helps. You get away so you can heal. It just won't target you. This one is an effective one. No disrespect to anyone who has it, but I call it the epilepsy beam, because when it fires it seems to be so bright and it just flashes, and I'm surprised anyone with epilepsy doesn't actually have a fit because of it. No disrespect to anyone who has it, I just call it that because that's what it looks like to me. It needs to come with a warning, I think. But another useful weapon that does direct damage to hull, and it damages people in a 3-kilometer radius. Power levels, as you can see, I have the auxiliary extremely high, engines pretty high as well to improve turn rate. Defense, there's a reason why I have it low, and weapon power, well, it's low because it's a Torp boat, it doesn't need it to be that high. But defense, that's low because, switch to duty officers, active space. Here's what I have. I've got one to reduce the time for tactical team, extremely useful. Here's the baby. Here's the guy, one ugly guy, but this is the guy who's been helping me with my shield power. When you fire an energy weapon, it has a just under 4% chance to give you 20% shield power for 10 seconds. And I've got 2 energy weapons, so that's 40% increased shield power. That will put it up to almost 100 at times, especially if you have a lot more energy weapons. So when you broadside, your defense could be right down at the bottom. You get lucky with this and you have full defense, and you've got max power everywhere else as well. This guy is the guy I've had for my torpedo critical severity. When I fire torpedoes, he does this, which is useful, very useful. This one helps with the beam overload, because you know I've got that omnidirectional with the beam overload. It's useful because it becomes passive, and it's a 30% chance where your next attacks with beams, I'm assuming, oh no, all other attacks against the target to ignore 30% of the shields for 4 seconds. So you could fire off like a high yield torpedo or a torpedo spread with that 30% reduction, and you could probably pierce their shields without them even noticing. I've taken one of my, I think it was either this ship or my other ship, the Odyssey, the Archangel, and I've attacked, while it was in a mission, yes, I've attacked a Breen carrier. By the time its shields hit orange, he was already on 37% hit points. And I barely damaged his shields. All the damage went through the shields. But yeah, he's very useful with that one. And this one, this little Vulcan, pretty little Vulcan, she seems to be smiling. She's quite pretty. While I may only have one, it does a 35% chance to reduce the time by 30%. And in case I go up against Alachi on space or ground maps, I do get to do a bit more damage to them. Yippee! Right, what else is there? Ah, yes. Reputation. I've got this little space effect where, as you can see, it increases sensor interference mainly on PvE, I might add. This doesn't really help on PvP when you can just automatically when you can manually switch to your main target anyway. But it gains 16k hit points per ally within it, maximum of the entire team, which can be useful. And any ally in it, actually, I didn't notice that. When an ally is damaged within 10 kilometers of the platform, attackers suffer a 75% outgoing damage for 3 seconds. That's useful. This one, Nukara, tier 5. Sorry, that one is Dyson, I think. Nope. Delta. No, Iconian, that's it. It's Iconian. Iconian resistance, there we go. But yeah, refracting Tetron Cascade, it basically is an effective Tetron attack, and it increases damage with each Tetron console. But yeah, it chains to different targets, and I've had it where I've actually killed groups of targets using this, and it's just gone pew 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 pew, and I've just flying past and they've all gone pop. If your shields are still struggling and you cannot get them back up, and you've ran out of reverse shield polarities and all this, all that, then this Counter Command Tier 5 is a lifesaver. For 30 seconds, it increases your shields by 961.4 and reduces damage to them by 22%. That's for 30 seconds. You can fill up your shield like that within 2.5 kilometers and you'll be up, up, up and away. Ready to fight some more. So, fire off the lovely fireworks. Let's actually go into a battle, shall we? What one shall we do? What one shall we do? Let's do crystalline. Let's do this one, shall we? Or hang on. What one shall we do, guys? Let's think. We'll just go with this one. Now you see what the true power of the dark side. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I honestly don't know where that came from. From the dark side of the force. Yeah. Oh. Oh. I want my baby back ribs. Off and away. God, that was laggy on entrance. Let's increase our engines, shall we? Yes, you may complain, but I am using a macro to help with my abilities. Look at that go. And once again, the shields turn to mush. Oh, this guy's underneath my... There we go. Uah! Everything's blowing up. Everything's blowing up around here. Let's see what's happening in chat, shall we? Right, let's see hit points. 88.5, 73.5, 51.8, and 53.3. I've seen better from a cannoli, but I can't complain. With me, hang on, let's add this. There you go, look. 114 at the moment. I'm getting primary attack. They want. Get in my belly. What am I actually attacking? Oh, that. Okay. Die. Ooh, crap. I'll go take on these guys, since no one else probably is. I want my baby back. Die! As you can see, this is the time when I activate the assault mode thing, because it just increases critical severity. I want my baby back. Oh, heavy gravimetric, that could be useful. And a heavy particle mission. See what I mean? You could just get, look, and another heavy one. And there's a torpedo spread, and another heavy coming out. And another heavy's just come out. And that's all in concentrate firepower. Why the hell is my team dying? What my baby back. Right, I'm activating the sensor platform so they take the heat off me. Let's get some heals back up, shall we? I have actually surprised people who with this torpedo build being able to put out more DPS than most people. They don't like it, they absolutely hate it when a torpedo boat has a higher DPS than them. Right, let's get shields back up, reverse shield polarity. We're going to fail the optional. Oh wait, no, someone luckily put in a gravity well. One disadvantage, gravity well. Sorry, that torpedo is incredibly loud. Disadvantage of gravity well is I have none. I can't get it. Because, well, it's just not allowed on this ship. I don't have a. It's a tier 3 weapon, basically. Ooh, I just wrecked something there. Right, that's that. No, don't attack the gateway. Don't attack the gateway. Leave it alone. 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 I don't like the gateway. It's evil. Gateway hurts. Look at that. 132,000. I'm gonna eat ya. I can't do a good Scottish accent. Oh, what the hell? That works. I'm not complaining. This works. This is working. I'm not complaining. Screw it. Let's call in some backup. I don't like it. They're evil. Ow, ow. Ooh, bloody hell, that popped. Right, I'm going to go attack these guys. Want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. Die! I'm just attacked the gateway, haven't I? I've just attacked the gateway. I'm going to die. The gateway's eating me up. Nope. And let's activate shield heal and critical severity boost. No, 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 you're not hurting me. You're not going to hurt me today. Okay, they are hurting me. Pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. Why am I speaking so many times? Hi. Hello. Die. Those Borgs seem to be dying nicely. I like it. I like watching them die. Why am I going closer? No. Shit doesn't know what it wants to do. No. Get away from the gateway. That thing is evil. Ow. Sorry if I'm shouting, guys. You may want to, yeah, you may want to, you know, take off your headset if you haven't already. But I don't want to attack that. I want to attack these. Come on, no, I want you to stay in there. Stay. Alright, they've just destroyed it. Torpedo spread. Why am I losing shields again? Borg hate me. I hate the Borg. Let's get some increased resistances. That puts it up quite high, as you can see. Oh, well, they just died. Die, die, da da die, da 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 die, da die, die, da die. Torpedo spread. What is it going to be? Oh, that looks like the particle. Pepper Torp. This is surprisingly a good team, actually, for torpedoes. Well, for the effective Condor advance. I never usually get a good team. Look, there's a pet. Oh, that's not a good sign. Hi! I've just attacked it. Yeah, I've just attacked it. We're going to hell. Die, you dog. You goddamn cube. I don't like you here. Leave me alone. Come on, torpedoes. Come on, torpedo. 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 Hello, Monsalida. That's very good for severity. I'm backing up. This guy's getting too close. I don't like it. Leave me alone. Someone's having fun behind me, aren't they? Can't you hear that? Shut up. Baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. This thing needs to attract fire. Die, die. Why aren't you dead yet? He's getting closer. He's now attacking the shield face, but that's fine. This thing can shoot through shields quite easily. And it does quite good damage through shields. Oh look, quantum phase spread. Look at the damage. He's about to die, and he's got bomb. Let's take those. And there you have it. The Astika Vardar Heavy Battle Cruiser Torpedo Artillery Vessel. I like to think it does well, it can tank well, and it puts out a ton of damage. If I had a DPS reader, I would have found out how much damage I put out. but frankly I love that ship. This ship is great. Now, I'm afraid I do not have any fancy intro or outro, so I'm just going to end it here. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, see you on the field. Live long and prosper. How the hell do I...